Now for a movie rant break, One Up presents a movie rant break. Danger zone, danger zone, danger zone. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the movie rant break. Today, you can tell which film we're reviewing. It's Top Gun Maverick. We out here in the danger zone. Here with John Smith. What's up?
Hey, you already know what the fuck going on. It's John Smith. We in this bitch. Let's get it.
Let's get it. All right, so let me run through this real quick. Top Gun Maverick, directed by Joseph Kosinski. Screenplay by Aaron Kruger, Eric Warren Singer, Christopher McQuarrie. Story by Peter Craig, Justin Marks. Produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, Tom Cruise, Christopher McQuarrie, David Ellison. Starring Tom Cruise, Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly, John Hamm, Glenn Powell, Ed Harris, Val Kilmer, Louis Pullman. Cinematography by Claudia Miranda. Edited by Eddie Hamilton. Music by Harold Faltermeyer, Lady Gaga, Hans Zimmer, Lauren Balfe. Came out back in May 27, 22. Runtime 130 minutes. Budget $170 million with a box office of $1.486 billion. Danger zone. Danger zone. Shit. Yeah. Fucks with him.
It's fucking
wow.
Biggest opening weekend in Tom Cruise history.
Yeah, and it's the top film of 2022.
Yep.
So good for them. I think it's well deserved as well.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. Like, if anybody, I don't think this is like, I think 99.9% of the people who walk in this movie walk out and it's like, that was fucking fun to watch. Right?
Fair. Yeah. Definitely, I think it's accurate. IMDb gave it an 8.4. Rotten Tomatoes, 96%. And Metacritic gave it a 78%. And Rotten Tomatoes, the 96%, I think that was the critics rating. Yeah. I can double check, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it was too.
Let me see. Yeah, the critics gave it a 96. The audience gave it a 99.
Yeah, 99. So it's 99% of the people.
That's intense.
Yeah.
So for people that don't know or do know, do you just want to hit a quick brief breakdown for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty straightforward. Mav is back. He's pretty much still a captain. He gets asked to come back and teach a bunch of young Top Gun graduates in order to complete a pretty much impossible mission, which is kind of funny. Mission Impossible.
I did not make that connection, but that's clever.
Yeah. But that's pretty much the basic of it.
That's fair. So let's rock into this. What I thought as a whole, this film was very tastefully done, and it pays a lot of respect to the original, and they didn't overdo it. A lot of action films or sequels of anything, they're always overdoing what they did in the first one.
Well, yeah, and to kind of bounce off that, I think the number one biggest mistake in Hollywood right now is
Danger Zone.
The fact that they want to build off of these classic movies and all of these big ancient blockbusters or old blockbusters, and they want to use that brand in order to sell tickets, which valid, it works, right? But they undercut a lot of what that brand originally created by just wanting to make it a modern day blockbuster. And they just don't give a fuck about story. They don't give a fuck about characters. They just think they can do whatever the fuck they want and it's going to sell. Yeah. This movie is one of the only ones, and there's very few amounts, but this is one of the only ones that did a blockbuster sequel completely 100% or 99% the right way, right?
Yeah, like, I think so too.
They brought back everything. It was just enough nostalgia. It wasn't too much. It wasn't like they were just rubbing nostalgia in our face with no good storyline. The story was phenomenal, but it wasn't a copycat story. It was just like fucking everything. Breath of fresh air. Huge breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the biggest thing for me about it when I watched it originally. Like, I wasn't, and we talked about this the last podcast we did about Top Gun, the original. I had never watched Top Gun growing up. It was like, same. I just watched Top Gun before I went to go see Top Gun Maverick.
Same.
And I'd always heard it was a good movie. I heard it was good, whatever the case is. And I watched it and I was like, oh, this is a good movie. Yeah, it was fun. And like, it wasn't great. It was super 80s and like kind of outdated, but like fun. But like, going into this, even with just that little experience, I can't even imagine if Top Gun was one of your favorite movies growing up, right? like what this movie would feel like. Like, holy shit, 30 years later, you know?
I think I like when Hollywood does do justice to films that do resurface decades later. Another great example that they paid really strong homage to was Tron. Tron
Absolutely.
was another one that they did that well with, but there's been a lot most they don't.
Right.
And
Jumanji, Star Wars, like the list goes on, you know. Jurassic Park, sorry. Bad. It's all garbage. It's all hot garbage. And they do it just because they're like, hey, we're gonna sell a bunch. Even all the Disney movies that are being remade in live action, like you're just like a lot of it is taking away from what the movie was and what made it so good to just use the brand to make a blockbuster.
Another one that I think they did well with, I mean, we're seeing that a lot with Disney doing their shit. Lion King.
Yeah.
I like Lion King.
I wasn't a fan, personally.
I liked it. I think being that they made lions look real and what they did with it was reasonable. The story was pretty much identical. They almost went, like, the frames almost were the same in a lot of ways. So
I just think again, my opinion on something like Lion King is, I think the thing that made Lion King amazing was the emotion from the animals, the characters, right? Like taking that away by just going for I want it to look real. I was like, dude, if I want to see a real animals, I'll go watch a documentary.
Well, I think in the Lion King's case, I think I said it in the episode, I did review that. Yeah. I think it was because of the voice acting. Like you had Beyonce as Nala,
the voice acting wasn't great,
and that's why the original is so good. It's not because
but the emotion, like seeing Simba sad when his dad died, like just watching a lion with like a blank lion face, I was like, I can't connect.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying? Like there wasn't this like investment emotionally because I'm just like watching animals that look like they're real, which is like a cool style. If you want to go that style, they did a great job at what they were trying to accomplish. But yeah, it's just not like. Again, it's just
there's limitations to that.
What concept makes the movie, right?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
This movie, Top Gun, Maverick, it's literally, if you love Top Gun, the first one, it's everything you liked about that movie and more.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's just amazing.
It was interesting too because I just recently watched Top Gun for the first time. That episode is out. You can listen to that too with John.
Oh yeah, you already know.
And watching both these back to back, being that I hadn't seen Top Gun at all or Top Gun Maverick, watching Top Gun, then watching Top Gun Maverick was very satisfying. And I thought the structure of Top Gun Maverick was what, and when I say structure, I mean the story, was what the first one was going to be.
Right.
Because the first one doesn't really have, it has that little excerpt at the end where they're battling with some random MiGs that show up.
Yep.
But I thought that's where the story was, where this story goes, where they're like in behind enemy lines.
Right.
I thought that's where the first Top Gun was, but it wasn't. It was more reserved. And this one was cool. Like they built off what made the first one so good and giving you that modern day little extra that was dope. Yeah. And
I think they did a great job at not making it to Hollywood where it was like, oh, this is the plan of what they were going to do when it comes to the route they were going to take, and then they were going to do the flip and all that. And they did add a little bit of extra on the end, what we'll talk about, but they didn't go like, then all of a sudden like 20 planes came in and it was a rocket and a nuke they had to stop, you know, like they didn't do that. And like that's like what we're so used to in modern day blockbusters is just bigger, better, bigger is better, and it's not the case. It's not the case. It's like we love story, we love characters, and that's what they did so well here is they built around the story and characters and the emotion and all of the conflict and ego, and they brought that together to make a fucking phenomenal movie.
It was a really good film. Like, it was really good. And you were gassing it, and along with one of our other friends, shout out to Matt G, and you saw it in IMAX.
Of course.
And I bet it was so dope to see it in IMAX. And you even said yourself, because we watched Top Gun Maverick together, and you're like, it was a little different watching it at home because you only seen it one other time, so you've seen it twice now, first in IMAX and then at home. And still was dope, but
if I had watched it at home for the first time, it would be a point less. Like that IMAX experience was...
That's what they say. They're like, IMAX
dude,
experience.
I mean, some movies you go in IMAX and it's disappointing. You're like, why did I just watch that in IMAX? Like I could have got this feeling from watching it at home or whatever. But this is one of those movies where like... it is undeniably made to be watched on the largest screen you can possibly find with the most sick stereo system with extreme amount of bass, almost extra amount of bass that you don't need, and just being like involved in this movie in these fucking big ass reclining leather chairs. Like, it's just phenomenal, dude.
I think one thing I noticed, because I haven't been to the theaters that often. And one of the theaters I go to, it's not that cutting edge. My favorite theater, which is in Bridgeton, the Magic Lantern. It's a really dope theater.
That's like a little like custom one, right?
It's like they got balconies, and it used to be a shithole theater. And it's the coolest. It's my favorite theater to go to, and they have a really good sound system in there, and it really lets the sound crew and sound people of films that tailor the movie experience for big screen shine.
Yeah,
and it's in some films, whether it's the sound isn't as eloquent or awesome,
right,
or the theater doesn't have a good system. It's when you go to films and it has all of that encompassed. It's really fucking dope to hear really well done sound. Like
next level shit.
It's like I just saw 3,000 Years of Longing. I keep bringing that movie up because I want people to see it. If people don't like it, like fuck off. It's a good film. There's some things you need to overlook that's minimal because as a whole, it's a great project. And I think this probably was awesome to watch on the screen. The sound was probably gnarly as fuck, and it was just like
reckless, dude. Yeah, it was really reckless. Like I walked out of that movie and I was like, "Holy fuck!" Like Hollywood's back. You know, like they did it. Like it's been so long since like Avengers Infinity War was probably the last time I saw a movie that was like fire. But outside of the superhero genre, I can't tell you the last time I saw a movie this good in theaters. Like I can't. I don't even remember. That's how fucking crazy it is. It's like
that's the exact feeling I said on the show with 3,000 Years of Longing. I was like, I haven't been to a theater and enjoyed a movie in so long. Is fucking such a good feeling.
That's cool.
And it was like I need to go to theaters more, as long as there's good films to see.
Right.
You know, and I am a little bummed out I didn't see this in theaters.
Yeah.
And I now after seeing the film, I would go see it in theaters after already seeing it just to see it on the big screen because it's what I think modern day cinema is. This big screen is for.
Well, it's funny because you say that because I actually met this dude. His name's Thad Luckenbill. Shout out to Thad. He is one of the owners of the studio that made Sicario. You know the movie Sicario?
No.
It's like Mexican gangs down in whatever the case is. He also acts. He acted on 12 Strong, I think it was. The movie with... Is it 12 Strong? Is the one with when Chris Hemsworth is riding on horses in Afghanistan. You ever seen that?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, so he was in that movie too with Chris Hemsworth, which is pretty cool. Anyway, my man Thad, shout out to Thad, he was telling me that like it's really hard for his studio now because a movie like Sicario came out in a time period where it went to theaters and it did well in theaters, right? And it was a big movie, you know what I mean? And it's more of like a gang or like a what's Mexican cartel, like cartel drama, you know, action kind of thing, right? And that doesn't really fit in theaters anymore. It doesn't sell in theaters anymore. Theaters aren't made for that anymore because the way Marvel and, you know, DC and all these Fast Furious, like all those movies have just made cinema this go and shut your brain off and watch tons of action. And so he's talked about kind of that struggle of like, now I'm working on these projects and a lot of it's just going to go to streaming, which is fine, but it's just a different method and it's not as profitable, but you can't make the profit in the theaters if you launch it in theaters anymore. And it was really interesting hearing it from somebody who owns a studio that has a movie that was huge. And yeah, it was.
We should have him on the show.
I would love to, dude. It would be fucking sick to have him on the show. I'll hit him up and talk to him about it and see if that's something that we want to make happen. But yeah, he gave me a lot of insight on that, and it was really interesting talking to him about it because he's right there. So it just kind of encompasses that in the sense of like this is the epitome of a blockbuster. Yeah, and
agreed.
And the movie theaters are made for this now. And it's sad that the majority of the movies that we get in theaters now don't have any kind of real story or real girth in them because it's just mindless action and bullshit and bad writing. And they know they can get away with it because of the spectacle and because of the name brands like we talked about.
Yeah, it can be low substance because they're making so much money off the same shit, whether it's a flying superhero punch someone in the face and taking a building down. And I've been waiting for people to kind of get tired of that. And like, I love superhero films and the whole superhero universe. It's cool. I just don't like how it's backseated what made that possible.
Right.
Because it's up to the people. If the people stop going and complaining, they'll start changing their methods. But if they're going to be tripling, quadrupling their money off films and it's carbon copies, the studio
Why not do it?
are going to keep doing
that's
that.
exactly what I was talking about. But it's funny because, like, this movie, Top Gun Maverick, is what is going to prove Hollywood wrong. It's like, yeah, we want spectacle, but we don't need the end of the world plot, right? Yeah, we want action, but we don't need it all CGI. There was like 3 shots in this entire movie that was CGI.
Really?
Is it literally 3? Every single shot in the planes were shot with real actors in the plane. So the way they actually did it is funny. IMAX cameras so big, and all the actors were sitting in the back seat of those jets, right? And they were actually in them. So the actor actually had to go up there, turn the camera on themselves, do their own makeup fixes, do their own lighting fixes, and go up and act in the plane for like 45 minutes, an hour.
Really?
And then if they came back down, then the director would get to look at the footage, see it, and if it was something they needed to change, they'd have to go back up and do it again.
That's really
They didn't even get to like look at it, you know?
So cool.
And they're out there pulling the real G's. Tom Cruise actually made like a 3-month training course for every actor that was in it to learn how to pull G's and not pass out and be able to go up there and act during it. It was fucking sick, dude. Like, they were up there in actual fucking jets. They were $11,000 an hour to rent those jets each.
I wouldn't be surprised it was more.
Yeah, but $11,000 an hour, dude. You know,
That is absurd.
Insane. Dude.
That's absurd.
Yeah, fucking insane. But like, the fact that Tom Cruise was that dedicated to make it real, it shows.
It totally shows.
You go into a theater too often now, and it's like they just CGI everything, and you just feel so disconnected from the reality of it. And it's like, cool, this is fun and spectacle, but I can't get emotionally invested because it doesn't feel real, right? This is like, you're really watching it, dude. They're really flying that low to the ground. Like, real life. Fucking whipping through that fucking
I'm
lane.
sure the canyon scene was CGI.
No, it wasn't. That's the crazy shit about it, dude. It wasn't.
Really?
Swear on everything, it wasn't, dude.
Swear on everything.
They didn't
Exclude
use
me from that,
they didn't use CGI, which is insane, dude, to think about. It's insane to think about. It's wild.
That's super dope.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't know that. I don't think most people know that. I knew they did real shit because I know the first one back in the 80s, they did real shit. So that's super dope that they went to the lengths that they did to make the film what it was. And I think it definitely shows. And I wish more films were doing that. And you can tell when films are putting crazy amounts of heart and soul and really dotting their I's and crossing their T's to make to make it feel authentic, because this film could feel super queer like queer as fuck. So.
And like even I think it was either the cinematographer or the director, he went out weeks beforehand where they were shooting and studied the track of the sun so that he knew what times of the day the sun, where the sun's going to be at certain times of the day, because most of the lighting they used was natural light from the sun, right? So he had to know like what time they could shoot where and how to make sure that the lighting was right per scene. Because if you think about how hard that is to achieve, dude, you have to go out and have someone react multiple times, or they're all acting at the same time, but they're doing it in different takes. But the sun has to be in the same place for it to feel real. So that means you got to have consecutive days shooting the same scene at the same time but different actors doing different things in order to make it look like it's all the same time period. Insane, dude. The amount of effort that goes into that is insane.
Definitely, salute to them. That's dope.
Yeah.
The one you said there was minimal CGI. I would guess the CGI that they used was the beginning. That jet. When they're going Mach 10, which is not
It's
something.
not real. Yeah.
It's not real.
Which, again, it goes back to like that little thing you said about like how Hollywood always has to do the extra.
Yeah, they do the
like the flybys in the first one,
Yeah.
Like they always have to do a little extra. That's the little extra they did.
Which was fine because it was sick, because he was wearing like a space outfit and he was going Mach 10, which for anyone that doesn't know, Mach 10 is 7,000 miles per hour.
That's 10 times the speed of sound.
Yeah, because Mach 1 is the speed of sound. Yeah. And the fastest recorded speed ever in a jet is Mach 6.72, which is 4,520 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's fucking.
Which is when I because I was looking up Mach speeds, so I was like, what the fuck is that? And it's the speed of sound. Mach 1 is going faster than the speed of sound.
Yeah.
But the fact that someone has gone 4,500 miles per hour is fucking gross.
Yeah.
I've gone like once, like excluding jets, like for commercial jets, right? Like I think you're going like 400 or 500.
Yeah.
And you can feel the speed taking off. Like I think that's going a couple hundred on the ground.
Yeah.
But like in a car, I've gone like 165, 175 or something like that. Yeah. It is so fucking fast.
Yeah, I've gone 200 on my motorcycle and it's outrageous.
Yeah, so 4,500 is absurd.
Yeah, it's
so
insane.
absurd.
Yeah, but yeah, like to kind of couple on that, they actually they use the jet they use, which is like I think it's called the Blackbird. What the fuck is it? Can you look it up?
The first one?
Yeah, the first one. If you type in fastest jet in the world, it shows right up.
Like, or not the first one, the beginning scene.
The beginning scene, yeah. So talking about this beginning scene because I kind of want to touch on it anyway. Like the way this movie opens, it's so Maverick. It's outrageous. Like,
well, first you have to talk about the intro of the Danger Zone and the way they the similarities of the intro of this is what we talked about, where they're paying homage to the original,
nostalgia,
and they waited for the opportune time when like I think a jet takes off from a boat. What the fuck's the name of those?
A carrier.
A carrier.
Aircraft carrier.
And they cue the Danger Zone song. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, we in this Danger Zone.
Yeah, I can't even imagine if someone waited 30 years for this fucking sequel and they saw that, they probably shit themselves. They were like, oh my god, Danger Zone.
Yeah, because the first one, they play Danger Zone the entire movie pretty much.
Yeah, no, I love that.
To answer what you were saying, it's called a Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird.
Blackbird, yeah. So that the plane that they used in this film is not the Blackbird. It was like another plane, but they like built that around it. They made it look like the Blackbird, which is pretty fucking cool. That plane is sick as fuck, dude. It's so sick. But anyway, the beginning scene's so Maverick. Like he's like, pretty much they tell him that he has to shut it down. You guys have seen it. Obviously, I don't want to go into too much detail, but like they tell him they got to shut it down, and he's just like, is he here yet? Like, fuck it, let's hit 10. They're like, dude, we're supposed to be hitting Mach 9 today. He's like, I'm getting you guys to keep all your jobs. Like, fuck this, I'm doing it. It's just so mad.
Super swag.
And then he's a dumbass, goes past Mach 10 and just keeps pushing it. Like, so mad.
Yeah, it's like 10-2 or something, 10-3. Yeah.
And then he lands on the ground. He's like, where am I? The kid's like, Earth.
Yo, when he comes in, he looks like he's from outer space.
For real.
Like in the diner. Totally does.
Where am I?
Were you a little sad that Take My Breath Away wasn't in the movie?
No, I think it's fine. It's so fun. And
I saw they overused the first film.
Penny is the shit. I'm glad they brought her in. That actress is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I fuck with her.
And yeah, that's all.
The casting of Goose's son is impeccable.
Dude, it
Miles
couldn't
Teller
have been
is
better.
the shit.
Yeah, and they looked at other people for it, but like, I'm so glad they landed on Miles Teller.
Do you know who?
Best. I don't know. I didn't recognize the names when I saw it, but
Miles Teller's the shit. Everything he's in, I've seen. He's on point. He's been doing it. He was in. Was he in Ready Player One? Is that him? That's not him.
No,
That's not him.
No, that's not him.
He was in the Spiderhead film with Chris Hemsworth.
And he was in the movie with Jonah Hill where they run guns.
War Dogs. Yeah, he's great in that.
Fucking phenomenal in that.
Yeah. No, Miles Teller is fucking awesome. He's like one of those actors that has been low key, but if you check his track record, it's
very
been
good.
killing it.
Yeah.
And he made this film.
It's funny, they all got to choose their own call signs. And so like the actors, they got to pick their own call signs. And he actually picked Rooster because Goose and Roosters are in the same family and he like wanted to do Rooster. So he picked that. It's him. That it wasn't written in.
That's swag as
fuck.
Yo, and that like getting into the dynamic of the film a little more as far as the challenge that Maverick was facing, having to have Goose's kid in his program and then to choose him to come on not a suicide mission, but like damn near suicide mission. Mm-hmm. And what that would mean if he played a part in both the death of Goose and his son Rooster, we'll call him.
Right.
Is insane.
Plus, on top of that, Rooster doesn't believe in him at all. He doesn't trust him because he pulled his papers in order to delay his time into the Naval Academy. And obviously, Tom Cruise did that because, as we find out, his mom, who passed away at this point, asked him to do that. So like, and so swagged out for Maverick to be like, no, I don't want him to hate his mom. and he's already gonna never forgive me.
Yeah, it was very noble, and I thought
is
Maverick's character, in the way he evolved and developed, and it showed him as like a grown man, was so well portrayed.
So beautiful. Like, it was absolutely.
It was really
well
dope.
done.
And to preface, I said this on the Top Gun podcast as well. I'm not a big fan of Tom Cruise, but in the Top Gun films, he's a savage. I fuck with
top
him.
notch, dude.
And it's cool.
It's a perfect role for him.
Perfect role for him. And there is an extreme contrast between the characters of the original Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick with Maverick's character.
Yeah, there's
way.
Similarities.
Yeah,
he's still just as reckless and still such an idiot. But yeah, there's definitely some things that you can see he's grown, and we actually get to see some of that growth process during this movie, which is cool. Even though he's he's damn near 60 years old up there, fucking flying his planes around, he's still just like grown. The first plane in the show that you had said this is Tom Cruise's plane. In the movie, the one that's in the garage, that is Tom Cruise's plane. And so he was actually flying it in this, and it's funny as fuck, bro. Like, this dude is such a savage. Like, you say you don't like Tom Cruise that much, but my man, there's a video online of my man pulling up on the aircraft carrier for the shoot in his own helicopter. He flew his own helicopter onto the aircraft carrier and got off his own helicopter that he flew in and was like, "Hey guys, I'm here ready to shoot this fucking movie."
Dude, he's such a G for that.
What a gangster.
The respect I have for Tom Cruise, even though he's what do you call
Scientologist?
He's professionally, I respect what he's accomplished in these Top Gun films. 100%.
Savage. Yeah, it's fucking really cool. I think the only returning character in the whole entire movie from the original, other than Mav, was Val Kilmer's character.
I think he's sick in real life.
Yeah, so I actually found out that he had throat cancer in real life and can't speak. He lost his voice entirely. And so the voice they used a company that that digitally made his voice based off of old recordings and other things that he said. So the times that he talked, he was actually not actually talking in real life because he completely lost his voice. So that whole thing, and I guess Val talked about, well, he didn't talk, but he typed out or wrote out that those moments of filming with Tom Cruise during that was some of the funnest moments he's ever had in his life. He said they couldn't even get through the scene like 20 times because they just broke out in laughter so many times. Like, it was really cool. So he said it was an amazing experience.
That scene was really heart-wrenching too, because when I was watching, I knew he was sick, and I didn't know to what extent, and the fact that he has throat cancer and actually couldn't talk, and yeah, they really fucking knocked this film down. Like, the more we're talking about it and hearing more insight on it, which face value, your own rating and what have you will be one thing, but then you start hearing the lengths that they went, it makes you appreciate it even more.
Hell yeah, dude. It's like and like, you get that when you watch it, you're like, oh wow, this is well done. But then, like, when you start digging into like what they did, like you said, to make this happen,
I was like suspicious of like some of the lengths they went through, and like knowing Val Kilmer was actually sick, and like to execute the way they did is
flawless.
It's super impressive.
Flawless.
It's impressive.
It's 99% flawless.
It's 99% flawless. Yeah. So that mission was ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And there was no volleyball montage.
Yeah, but they did the football montage. Which is really cool. And actually, fun fact about that, too.
There's still plenty of high fives.
Yeah, tons of high fives, tons of shows. It's so funny. Actually, Tom Cruise looked at the footage after they did it, and I guess they trained super fucking hard to get their bodies in shape. Like, Tom Cruise had a really strict regimen on how you had to look going into that scene, right? And he said that, I guess, after they got finished shooting it, the cast all went and got like fucking ice cream and shit, right? Because they're like, finally, we don't have to fucking work anymore. And then a week later, Tom Cruise calls them all up and says, it wasn't good enough. We got to shoot it again. And so they all went back in the gym like a week straight in order to get ready to be able to shoot the shots. Yeah, so that's fucking funny. But I thought it was cool, the dogfight football, like offense and defense at the same time. Like, I've never seen that in my life.
I haven't either.
At first, I was like, when I first saw it and I first saw the game, I was like, oh, fuck. I hate when movies don't know how sports work. That was like initially, because it happens all the time. You see like a football game and like the dude's running with the ball pointed up and down and shit. And you're like, oh man. So that's what I thought initially. But then when they explained it and he's like, no, it's dogfight football. It's offense and defense at the same time. I was like, I was like, holy shit, that's sick.
Because it was just a mess when they were like playing on the beach.
It was so sick. Yeah.
Getting to back to how ridiculous the mission was. that sequence super intense. The fighter jets are super insane. It's
fucking crazy.
Watching them, you think about how crazy they are, and like people actually do this. And I think the dogfighting is ridiculous. And just when you start to quantify it, that people really do this, it's mind blowing.
Wild.
And
It's scary almost.
it's super scary. Like being even just at that height, let alone flying a fighter plane and someone shooting at you. It's those people are so fucking brave. So salute to those motherfuckers for being complete savages.
Thank you for your service.
Facts.
Have you ever seen jets in real life, like Blue Angels? Have you ever seen them?
I don't, not up close, I don't think.
Yeah, because like the reason I ask is the first time I moved to San Francisco or the Bay, right? I was doing a moving job, and I was in a truck, and I was driving over the Golden Gate Bridge for the first time. I'd never seen the Golden Gate Bridge, and I just happened to be driving over it, and I was like, "Holy fuck, it's the Golden Gate Bridge!" I was like, "This is sick, it's so big, it's fucking crazy." And then all of a sudden, a fucking jet flies like, I'm talking like maybe 50 yards up over the middle of the bridge. Woo! I was like, holy shit. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't know it was like for a Blue Angels event. So I was like, are we at war? Like, what the
Blue
fuck?
Angels.
So Blue Angels are like it's pretty much a bunch of fighter jets, and they do like different formations, and they do like a show for a week, and like it's called Flight Week or Fleet Week, I guess is what it's called, Fleet Week. And then they like come out and they do a bunch of different shit. They have big jets in the air, little ones doing flips and spins and twirls and all that shit.
That's super
so it's sick.
dope.
And they do it right over the bay. And I know they do it in New York too, and they do it a couple different places. But
the only thing I've seen is pregame flyovers.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I've been a part of, I think.
Yeah, those are sick too.
And then
obviously.
that has been like, whoa.
It's really fucking cool, and it was like such a wild experience because I was like first time on the Golden Gate, seeing the
That
San
is
Francisco,
cool.
headed towards San Francisco, and all of a sudden the fucking jet flies right over us. I was like, what the fuck? Shit was sick, dude. Yeah, but
Were you surprised that he didn't pick Hangman to be on the team?
no.
Because is it because he saw himself in Hangman? Maverick saw himself in Hangman? Like,
No, because he knows that he made the mistake of leaving his wingman, but he told Goose he'd never do it again. I don't know if he did ever again,
so
but he
that
did
was
it. So I don't think so. I think it was just more of he wanted to make a team that he knew he could trust that's going to get the job done right. And I think he knows what Hangman's skill set is. And Hangman, like, there's one part when they were training and he was like, oh, this kid is good when he was following him. And he's like, all right, but let's see what you got. And then he ended up getting him, which first of all, like, just quick spin off of that. Like, when they dogfight at the beginning and Mav just washes all of them, like,
Swag.
so it's swag,
Super
dude.
swag.
I loved it. It was so good. I was like, word, dude, he's nasty. But anyway, I think he knew he was a really good fighter pilot, and I think he knew he was really good at dogfighting. But like when it came to like team effort
in this mission,
right? I don't think he saw it. So I think him knowing that, he put him in the perfect position because he's like, I want him to come in and dogfight if we need help, you know?
Yeah, and that was, I thought, a cool full circle moment where they end up Hangman being the person that leads people out to dry.
Yeah.
He ended up being the one to save them at the end, which was dope.
Yeah.
And I really like that actor. I forget his name, but he's really dope.
Yeah, he's dope.
I fuck with him.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, the casting was perfect. Even
was great casting.
John Hamm was like probably one of my favorite casts in the movie.
Crushed it. He was a great cast.
The fact that he was just like, just the way he carried himself and the way he was so disinterested in Mav. He was just like, you're here because you have to be, because you know, Iceman wants you here. That's it. It's the only reason I care. But I don't want you here at all. And then when Iceman dies, how easily like effortlessly he acted out that transition of, oh, it is what it is, dude. You're done. Like I don't care. Like it was like, wow, it was well done.
It's cool to show how much pull Iceman had too, though, because he like stayed in that field and had that clout. Did you think that? Or let me put it like this. Because I want to talk about after or during the mission sequence, like when
I know what you're talking about.
Maverick crashes. I was like, oh, this is it for him. This is how he's going to die. That's
what I thought too.
This is such a good way to do this.
Yep.
And then Rooster comes back, and I was like, totally didn't see this coming.
No.
And then because I was like, how's he going to get out of this plane? And then he gets shot down.
Yep.
And then the tension in the film was so thick, right? because of Rooster and Maverick, and I felt it dissipate when they link up in the woods and they're like, yo, what the, like Tom Cruise or Maverick rather is super pissed because
why the fuck did you come back? That's what was supposed to happen. I was supposed to die. You were supposed to be saved. I was supposed to redeem myself. Like, what the fuck? Yeah.
And he's like, you told me to not think. And he's like, fuck. Like, you right.
Dude, some of the best dialogue I've ever seen in a movie. Like,
it was great.
Flawlessly made. And it's because he's almost like saying what you would expect on the script too. He's like, we all thought Mav sacrificed himself to save Miles Teller, right? What? Goose's kid, and he redeemed himself, yada yada, parades for, Mav, right? But like, and so when he runs up to him and he says that to him, he's like, dude, that's what was supposed to happen. You're like, yeah, it was. Yeah. And then he's like, why the fuck are you here? He's like, you told me not to think. What were you thinking? He's like, you told me not to think. Yeah. He's like, fuck, you're right.
Yeah. Fucking great line.
Oh my God.
So they have, like I was saying, like did you feel the tension between those two characters? Like the tone of the film changed after that dialogue.
Yeah.
Did you feel that at all? Where it's like, they had a team.
Well,
now.
I think Rooster had his switch.
Doesn't say
when they were going through the canyon, he was slowing down, and all of a sudden he was like, "Dad, like help me out, Dad," right? And that's cool because Mav always says like, tell me what you see, Goose, or whatever the fuck he says, right? And so Rooster kind of did that too, and then all of a sudden he heard like "don't think" in his head, and it's funny because then it was kind of like Mav was almost his father figure in that sense, right? So at that moment, you kind of feel that shift in Rooster where he's like, I'm going to trust what Mav's been telling me this whole time. And he did. And then he even made that shot with no laser to fucking, which was like, it's obviously Hollywood, but like it was so fucking dope, dude. Like, it was so dope.
It probably has happened.
Very Star Wars-esque, right? Like Luke, like, riding down that canal, like, trust your feelings, Luke. Like Obi-Wan, and then he puts away
Maverick
the thing.
Vader?
And then he puts away the thing. No.
It's Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan. Trust your feelings, Luke. And he puts away the thing. And then he goes, and he fucking shoots in the little canal. You know what I'm saying?
I don't remember that scene for some reason.
It's the most famous scene in fucking Star Wars history. It's the very end when he blows up the Death Star. He's riding down the canal. I don't remember the
dialogue. Oh, yeah, I remember that part. I don't remember the dialogue between...
Obi-Wan's dead, and Obi-Wan's like, trust your feelings, Luke.
Okay,
so it's very Star Wars.
Shout out Star Wars, goddamn.
Which was cool, though. I fuck with that. Super good homage, dude.
Fucks with you. Yeah. I love... So they team up, and they escape in his old-style jet that he used to rock.
The OG, yeah. It was exactly the one from the first film.
Yeah, and I thought the story of, like... Because basically, after... Maverick goes down. I was like, the story's really good. Like, it's not what I expect to happen. I didn't know how they were going to try to wrap it up. But then, like, Rooster goes down. I'm like, oh, this is getting good, actually. Yeah. Like, I fuck with this. And, like, them escaping together, such a good story. So fun. And I didn't know how they were going to escape. Yeah. And then they, like, find his old jet. and then Rooster's shitting on the jet. And then, like...
so old.
It's like... And it is like it's especially in the fighter jet world of things, I'm sure. But them sneaking in the base, taking the jet, I didn't think it was overdone.
No,
and I just fucked with it. I was like, and I didn't see it coming. I was like, this is really dope.
And they're taking on the 5th gen fighters with it, like, and just Mav's just like. Yeah, like Rooster's like, it's not the plane, it's the pilot, and fucking Mav's like,
what a good student.
Fuck, he's like, fuck, I gotta do it,
Yeah. And I didn't know how that was gonna turn out. Like, I knew Hangman was gonna come out. Like,
right, yeah, it was kind of obvious at that point, especially when they're flying up. Like, you feel the emotion in Mav. I think they did a good job, even though us as consumers knew like Mav and fucking Rooster aren't gonna die. Like, that's stupid.
At this point, I thought Maverick was going to.
Yeah, but at that point, they're not gonna kill off both of them and just be like, oh, they lost. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Crazy.
Yeah, it wouldn't have happened. But you could still see the genuine like defeat that Tom Cruise was acting. He was like,
Rooster
I failed. He's like, when he's going vertical at the end there, and he's like, I don't have any flares left, and I'm about to get lined up. He's like, the amount of defeat and like just how terrible he felt came over him. And he's like, I failed, like, and then all of a sudden
Rooster says things to like have Maverick wake up or realize, which I think is poetic because roosters make you wake up.
Right.
So it's like really dope that Rooster was in the back where Goose was and is saving their lives when Maverick accidentally was part of Goose dying. Yeah. And so like I felt there was some poeticness. That's what poeticness. Can I run with that? Poetic.
Poeticism
in that notion, and just the character being that good student and making the teacher Maverick wake up.
Yeah.
So
no, I love that.
And in that last sequence too, you brought up how when we did the Top Gun podcast, they kept it very vague with the MiGs, the jets. Yep. They kept it vague in this film too.
100%. Yeah.
Which I really respected the vagueness of who they were fighting.
Yep.
It's dope because you don't need to be like, oh, it's the Soviets or whatever, you know.
No, you don't. And I think that paid homage to another way.
Tasteful.
They paid homage.
It's tasteful. You don't need to. No one gives a fuck who they're really fighting. Like, and the story wasn't necessarily. It's not needed in a lot of cases. You know.
Yeah. No, I love it, and I love the moment when Rooster makes the decision to turn back and help Mav, and how they don't hang on it too long. It's not like they go like 3 scenes away.
I thought he left.
But it just goes black, and you're like, okay, he left. It's over. And then all of a sudden, like you shoot, and like Mav's getting up off the ground. You're like, he survived that plane crash. First of all, okay, like what's gonna happen now? So you see the fucking what is it called? The Black Hawk come around the corner. The
jet. Did you say jet?
No, the helicopter.
Oh,
you see the helicopter come around the corner, you're like, oh shit. You're like, what the fuck is this? You're like, what the fuck is going on? You're like, I thought he was gonna die. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, now he's like trying to survive. And they could have went in a direction where Maverick tried to escape and then got.
Yeah.
Or like I actually thought he was gonna become a prisoner.
Yeah.
And then they were gonna have to go in and save him.
Yeah.
That's how I was like, oh, he's gonna get prisoner of war of sorts, and they're gonna.
Or the other one would have been worse too. Like I think the way they did it was the best way they possibly could have, but I think the other way would have been worse too. Like if he just got out and survived himself, you'd have been like,
well, that's why I thought it was
like,
kind of clever with them like sneaking. Because think about it, whoever they were bombing, they were like up in arms. What the fuck's going on? Their runway was fucked.
Yeah,
they're all trying to figure out who the fuck's bombing them. They're not thinking people are going to be like walking into their fucking shit and stealing the shitty old jet, the antique shed. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
So I thought it actually was like a possibility.
Yeah,
it could have happened
on a broken runway. Like they would never think that exactly.
Yeah, so it actually made sense.
Yeah. Dude, you know what's fucking crazy? Like, out of all these things that we said positive about the film, I think the very best scene, hands down, no questions asked. I was going to make a joke. When he jumps out of the window and he's saying in front of his daughter, it's not serious, but that was funny. But
what part? When he just...
No, I was saying when he jumps out of the window and the daughter's there and she's like, just don't bring your feelings. But that's not it. But it just popped in my head. Such
that was funny that the daughter was just like, you were just fucking my mom.
No, I think the very best part of this movie, the very best scene, is when Mav gets released from his duties as the teacher, and John Hamm comes in and pretty much is like, we're going to do this slower and you all are going to die, but we're going to get the mission done. That's like pretty much what he was saying. And Mav has a conversation with Penny, and Penny's like, you got to figure it out. And he just goes in there, steals a jet.
It does the mission.
It does the mission in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Like, not even 2:30.
I think it was 2:14.
It was 2:14. Like, it was 2:14 to change. And I was like, watching that, your palms are sweating, and you're just like, no fucking way. He's really in there pulling those fucking G's. Like, you can see his face. That's the coolest thing about it, when they're pulling the G's and you see their face. And then he comes out of the fucking, like, he hits the shot himself, does his own laser guiding, and then flies out of the fucking canyon pulling 10 plus G's. Fucking face is melting, and he fucking comes out and fucking survives. And he does it in 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Everybody's like, holy fucking shit. It was sick.
That's like, that shit's gas.
Yeah.
Like,
it was so good. Hands down best scene in the movie. No questions asked.
There's so many scenes like that were really good.
Yeah.
That top to bottom, the ending was really on point. I really fuck with this. Do you think there's gonna be a third?
I don't think there needs to be. I don't.
There definitely doesn't need to be, but like, I wanted to ask that. Like, is there gonna be a third Top Gun? Because if there was, I would be excited.
If there was, I think that I don't think,
like, Maverick would obviously die in it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessary, dude. And I know they're probably going to do it because of the money, but like I just don't think it's necessary.
Well, the other good thing is like the cast was so good that like if everybody comes back, Miles Teller is a dope dude.
Yeah,
and
it was really good. But I don't know if you could hold the whole thing together if Mav wasn't in it. If Tom Cruise wasn't in it, like I don't think he could do it himself.
Well, that's why if he died mid-movie, and then you had the dude that was Hangman and Miles Teller and some of the other people, maybe some other new strong cast member, it could be a good film. Like
Maybe.
you know,
I just wouldn't want it to be forced. And this movie was so perfect that
for sure. It's the same way I feel about Tron. Like and Jared Leto, I heard is casted in the new Tron. I'm like, that's not a good
over
sign
for me.
Like Tron is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Tron Legacy, rather.
Yeah, Legacy. It's so good. I was curious why it took so long for this movie to come out, and then after I was doing some reading, apparently the director of the first movie committed suicide.
Oh,
but before he committed suicide, he was working on the sequel, and they actually dedicated this movie to him, which is interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
I
But
don't mean to say fun fact, but sad fact.
Sad fact, yeah.
Sad
but
facts.
it's wild, and I'm like just sitting there. I'm like, damn, like suicide is always fucking crazy to me. It's like the worst way somebody could go. Like in my perspective, like there's a lot of bad things, but I think it's the worst way someone can go because it's just you always think about all the ways you could have changed that situation. Not me personally, but like I'm sure the people in his life and people around him. And I think that's
you leave a lot of burden with a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. And you obviously, and I know that everybody who does take their own life ends up regretting it. Not a single person that has ever done it has survived has ever said they didn't regret it after they tried. And instantly, you know what I mean? And so it's sad to think that in their last moments, they're regretting the decision they made, and there's nothing they can do about it, and they leave everybody with burden. It's just a sad way to die. But nonetheless,
that's why the film didn't come out.
Yeah,
it was delayed.
Yeah, he was working on it, and and I think everything happens for a reason. This movie was phenomenal, so everything was done right, and this movie came out great. And the fact that they dedicated it to him was really cool. They didn't have to do that. You don't have to dedicate it to the previous director 30 years ago, but it's just
nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
What are you hitting for a rating? Or do you have like a bunch more to say?
No, I don't.
I thought we like wrapped it up.
Yeah, I really, honestly, I don't have much more to say. I think the movie was fucking hands down.
Not to cut you off, but like you ended with a sad fact and like how much the director. I was like, oh, this is a good point. Like I think we can wrap it up. If you're good.
Hands down. Just as an overarching statement, hands down, the best movie I've seen in theaters since Infinity War. Right? Hands down, no questions asked.
Mine's 3,000 Years of Longing.
Yeah, cool.
But I didn't see this in theaters.
Theaters, exactly. Yeah, best movie I've seen in theaters since then. Best movie I've seen in IMAX, arguably ever. Right?
That's really cool.
And yeah, go ahead.
Avatar, though.
Yeah, no, Avatar.
Really December 16th. They finally put a release date on.
Sick. Yeah, I love that.
Which would be dope.
But anyways, I just overall just really impressed. I'm happy for Tom Cruise because him coming back and reprising this role and making this happen, having it be as good as it was, and having it be such a cultural phenomenon like it was back in the 80s. Really happy about that. I'm happy about the whole cast and how much effort they put into it. All in all, like really, really, really excited about the fact that this movie occurred, and I will watch it many times in my life.
I would definitely watch it again.
Yeah,
definitely
many times.
Rewatch value. And I'll tell other people to watch it. Like it's a cool Friday night movie. If with your girl or you just like your homies or whatever. This is like if you want to watch something good that's exciting and you can enjoy and it has some substance to it. It's an all around solid film.
Yeah. And if somebody hasn't seen this, I'm going to watch it with them. Like,
yeah, it's a good
dude. You got to watch it. No questions asked.
And even though this film isn't my favorite genre, like these action films aren't, I feel the same way. Like I know a lot of people would like it even more than I do because a lot of people do like these type of movies.
Right.
And
like, did Anonymous see it?
No, I'm going to show it.
Yeah, he would love it.
Anon, I don't fuck with it. But Anon, I don't know. Action films aren't like his...
But you just said it, though.
Yeah, but even still, like, I should tell him to check it out. And
you should watch it with me.
I think my Rents has seen it. But if they haven't, my pops would love this
it.
movie.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's one of those once in a generation type movies, and I'm just happy that I was a part of it. I think it's fucking awesome.
It definitely was a good vibe, good moment, and shout out to everybody part of that film. It was dope.
Yeah, it deserves everything he gets, like money wise.
Absolutely,
all the effort and everything. It deserves it all.
Yes.
For sure.
I'm gonna hit it with 8.2.
I'm hitting it with a 9.9.
Wow.
Yeah, 9.9.
Yeah. Wow, that's your highest score you've ever given.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's
No, it's fair.
Flawless.
Like, it could go, like, I was thinking about giving a higher score, but
Yeah, I'm going 9.9.
I'm going to go 8.2.
Yeah, I love that. 8.2 is a good score for you for this movie.
Yeah.
For there's a lot of odds stacked up against you. You don't like Tom Cruise. You didn't watch it in theaters, and you don't like action movies like this. Like, and the fact that it's got that high of a score for you is.
And the only
impressive.
reason I give it like higher is because of what went into the film.
Oh yeah,
Like there's so much, and that's why I'm like not trying to disrespect that notion, because I acknowledge that it's deserving of that. Like I'm not flinching to that. Like okay,
yeah.
I might have flinched because it was the highest score that you've ever said.
If you saw an IMAX, it would have been a 9.2 no matter what.
Probably
A point, at least a point.
Yeah,
It made that big of a difference. It was made for that.
It's the same thing with like 3,000 Years of Longing. Like I guarantee you're gonna be like, it was good, but it's not like it's because the theater it was so sick. Like this, the way when you see it, like the way they did certain things, like the director at the top of the film has an excerpt.
Oh wow!
And he's like, "Yo, thank you for seeing this in theaters. It was intended for theaters. And it was and I haven't really like seen that before. And I was like, it was a good segue into the film. I have goosebumps because it's just like a cool thing. Like you could tell people a part of that film gave a fuck. The director is talking in theaters and just like the sound and everything was so dope with that film. And that's why I'm saying like it probably would be.
I have a pretty good home theater system, so I'll
it's a really good film, and I keep gassing it. Like I said, there's a couple things in that film that I think should be overlooked. You could be little like what the fuck, but it's so short of things of discrepancies that might fuck with you. And same with this film, there was little whatevers, but it's like I can overlook that so easily because the whole overarching of what's happening right now is so fucking dope.
I agree. Yeah.
But 8.2, like I just want to try to stay consistent. It's definitely deserving of like a really high score. I think 8.2 is, but 9.9 from John Smith. I respect it, and I respect the people a part of this film, and it's a really awesome film. Like dead ass. Phenomenal. Like it was a really good film. Like
absolutely fucking phenomenal, man. Love it. Yeah, I'm happy that you got me on the show for this one, dude.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do it for a while, and
you were right. It's a really good film. Like you and Matt
it.
G been telling me it's so good, and it is really fucking good.
Yeah.
So you want to hit some plugs and close us out?
Yeah, you already know what the fuck going on. It's John Smith, John X Smith. You can Google me, John X Smith, just like a name, or you can get at me on Instagram at MG_John X Smith. I just dropped the tape with my boy Pseudo Black. It's called Muddy. It is out now, so go tap in with that. Not sure when this podcast is going to come out, but no matter what, whether it's before or after November 23rd, I do have a show on November 23rd in LA. It's called El Cid is the location. Doors open at 5. I go on at 8 o'clock. So if you want to tap in with that, definitely hit me up on IG, or you can show up day of. It's all good either way.
And if they hit you, I'm going to try to get this episode out in the next like 10 days. Like it should be before. So they should have 10 days-ish to contact you, because the last Top Gun episode or Black Adam, I forget which episode. Both. Well, you said they get free tickets if they hit you.
Oh, free tickets.
If they DM you and say they heard this from the Movie Rant Break,
yeah,
they will get free tickets.
Free tickets, 100%, no question.
Okay.
I'll even buy them a drink.
And a drink.
Fuck
yeah.
I'll buy you a drink.
I really need to get this out.
Yeah, I'll buy you a drink and I'll get you a free ticket. So just DM me on IG and say, hey, I heard about your show on the Movie Rant Break at El Cid, November 23rd, and at 8 o'clock.
Word.
On the dot.
Motherfuckers better get up on that.
You already know what the fuck going on.
Get up on it. Or no, it's get down on it. Get down on it. Shout out to Cool in the Gang.
We should never sing again on this podcast. That should be the last time.
Us or me?
Us.
Why?
It was not
That
pretty.
was great. We nailed it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, shout out to Cool in the Gang. They're dope.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for being on the show, my dude.
You already know.
You already know what the fuck going on. All right. Word. So, that's Top Gun Maverick. I hope everybody fuck with this episode. I know I fuck with this movie, and I fuck with you. I'm gonna be hitting Top Gun Maverick with 8.2. John Smith hitting it with 9.9. Big dick energy. Appreciate everybody for listening to this episode. If you want to say what's up or have any movie recommendations, you can hit me up at the Movie Rant Break on IG. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. And that's about it. Hope everybody has a happy, healthy day/life. And I will catch you next episode. Deuces.
Peace.